What a weekend it was for the good guys in town. Crows absolutely slaughtering Port. Can't even put a good word to that. This is two loose cannons. This is one sad gentleman. This is one happy gentleman. Let's have you start. No, let's have you start. I want to hear what you think.
Because I could go. Look, what can I say? It's disgraceful. No heart. No nothing. That two things died this week, and two of my absolute childhood icons: the Port Adelaide Football Club and Hulk Hogan, and that was just disgraceful. That was a team that went out there and had just given up on the season. Didn't care. Didn't matter what game it was. It just, who cares? Let's just get out of this season. Let's get home. It's raining. It's cold. Don't want to be here. That's what I felt. Now, say what you want. They're missing whatever, anywhere between 6 to 10 of their probably best 24. But that's nothing to do for me. You can, in those conditions, you can show toughness and hardness and get that ball and get in and under. It's so much easier to play like that than on a beautiful, clear day where the ball's just going zipping around up and down the field. So to lose that way and to lose it in that last quarter the way they did, I blinked and it went from a 70-odd point lead to almost 5 goals later, almost being a 100-point loss for the Crows. For Port, as 70-odd point lead to 100, almost 100-point lead for the Crows. I was just heartbreaking. And I don't know who you blame. I don't know where the blame goes. I don't know whether this is just everybody giving up, the whole club giving up, nobody giving a shit about the supporters or the club itself. I don't know where to start and I don't know where to finish. I just know I want this season to end. I just want it over, because if you think that's bad, Port fans, you're about to come up against Geelong in Geelong, and this has got 150 points written all over it. If it's a clear day, forget about it, mate. You think you're embarrassed Saturday night against the Crows? You ain't seen nothing yet, because Geelong will rip us apart. Absolutely destroy us at home. Unless these guys pull their finger out and decide that they've got some pride in what they do, and they're not going to just let those fucking colours be treated like that, be stomped into the ground like they're nothing, and it just saddens me but what can you do?
Do you think you've become what we were I don't know, 8 years ago, boys club?
I don't know what we've become.
Because I say the last few weeks.
You know what? If we had our full side, I'd agree with you. Yeah. But we don't. Like I say, 6 to 10 of our best.
So Horn Francis defindefinitely improves you.
Yeah. Look, there's a
Radical.
Well, look, I'd still rather have Radical than not have him.
Yeah.
Horn Francis, I don't know why. Say what you want about Willie Roley. He should have been out there.
But
I'd rather have
Finlayson.
But I'd rather have Finlayson running out there, because Finlayson will give you anything. Ollie Lord's given us nothing. Absolutely.
I didn't even know he was out there.
Well, that's the point, And it's not great conditions. So you could have said, look, we pulled Ollie Lord because it's not going to be a great night for the big.
No, but the Showdown medalist was a 200-centimetre guy.
I understand that, mate. So I'm just saying, if you pulled him out, it's not because you're saying it's form or anything. You're saying, look, had a look at the conditions. We just thought it was better if we went, even if they went smaller.
Yeah.
Anything, mate. He gave us nothing, absolutely nothing. You can argue back and forth who is in and who is out of that side and who played with the reserves who could have improved it or not. Most of these guys won't be there. Finlayson won't be there.
What I don't understand is Dylan Williams kicks 5 or 6 in the Sandville Showdown.
That's all.
Those conditions would have been
perfect, man. Exactly. This is what I don't get. They played him the week before, and yet they just dropped him the week later. What's the point? Why even bother putting him in? Like, give the guy a chance. If you want to see what he's got and you want to see whether or not he can play this game, then give him the go. You might as well. You've got nothing to play for except for pride, and maybe you might pull a shock like St Kilda did against Melbourne, but at the end of the day, you just, maybe you're right. Maybe it is a boys' cup. Maybe Ken's rewarding the blokes who.
Because I'll tell you what it is. You had old mate Ken, you had old mate CD dancing on the Crows' grave when we were down now, and it was great for them because it gave them a distraction. You guys come out and said 3 and 5. Well, that didn't happen. You didn't even net 1.
Yeah.
Where's the heat coming from the media? Because
you can make statements all the time.
You can.
I said you have a 12, 3 and 5. Man,
given how far we were going, it covered over your failings.
don't agree with that. It's a statement. If
It's a statement, and he's selling the club.
It's a nothing statement too. People go, oh, that gives us a little bit of hope. It gives you nothing. It's words. At the end of the day, it's words. But my wish list is, of course, it's not backed up with action. But at the end of the day, in that period, he makes 4 preliminary finals out of those 5 years. So realistically, if he Ken could have got us to the next stage, who knows what we could have done? How many got four preliminary finals on a 3 out of 5? When he says 3 out of 5, you make 4 preliminary finals.
You failed at the second last step, but you get to the grand final, and what happens then?
I don't know. That's the thing. I just don't know.
Yeah, chance say you end up losing. Because they are 5 goal better side, like we always say.
That's a huge possibility, because you would have been playing. So we played Richmond in 2000. We lose to Richmond. They go on to play Geelong.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you know our record against Geelong in grand finals. I'm not sure if you heard about 07.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever heard that. You ever come up in your feed, in your crow's feed?
Yeah, did you see that Crow supporter that had the 119 on the back?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, supporters know.
And then in 21, it's the Bulldogs and Melbourne. So we played the Bulldogs. That was that shocking preliminary final where they were injured, and we probably should have rolled them, and they ended up smashing us. Last year we played Sydney. They lose the grand final. And the year before that we played, I can't remember who the year before that we played. We went out in straight sets the year before that. So, and then, so out of the 5, he makes 3 prelims, not 4. So,
yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe 2020 is the one, maybe.
So then, let's say potentially you win that.
And
maybe 1 out of 5.
Maybe we could beat Melbourne in 21. I don't know.
There was a lot.
Because that was that year where we targeted Gawn, and everybody was shocked at how easily we got Gawn off his game. And we copped all that criticism for going after a good player and blah, 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 blah. What a load of crap that is. You take whatever advantage you can. But that was just the soft Melbourne media going, oh, Gawny, Gawny, Gawny. Look what they're doing to Gawny. So who knows? If we play Melbourne in that grand final, who knows?
Yeah.
Because they obviously, and then I don't think we even lost to Melbourne that year. So, maybe if they get over the Bulldogs, maybe that is the one. I don't know.
Yeah, so you feel better?
No, not at all. Because you know what? Because I see the next 5 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is.
That's more of the same.
Geelong are going to spank us. Fremantle are going to probably, that's another 10 goal, 8 to 10 goal loss. Maybe Carlton, we might run them close, but we're not going to get within 5 goals of them either, I don't think, in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then we come home for what's going to be Ken's last game, which will be Gold Coast. And who knows if we're even going to be able to beat Gold Coast here. Now, they haven't won a game here. What is it, 11 out of 11 tries, 12 tries?
Yeah.
There's 0 and 11 or 0 and 12.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be Ken's last game. If they, how, whether they love the bloke or not, you'll find out that day when we play Gold Coast in the last game of the season.
Okay, but, I thought you guys would be up and about for the show. Not necessarily win it, but keep it close.
Well, look, at quarter time, we kicked those last 3 goals. You think, okay, they just got to keep it close. So, I would have taken a 5-goal loss and thought, okay.
In those conditions.
But a 5-goal loss in those conditions, as you might as well say, it's a 10-goal loss.
Yeah.
So to lose that by the best part of 16 goals, that's just.
Yeah.
And I'm so angry, so frustrated. That last quarter was just an absolute disgrace. There was a team that just dropped its head, thought, please get me out of here. I don't want to be here. It's raining, it's cold. We're getting spanked by the best part of 12 goals here.
But this is a showdown. This is you don't let
sometimes that right.
I know.
Sometimes when it's over, it's over. When the bottom's full, that's it. When the bottom's out.
You don't give us a free run. Showdowns. I used to, as a Crow supporter, fear going to showdowns. Paul always get up for showdowns. Now I have no fear because we seem to get up for these showdowns now. And, you guys didn't show us any mercy. So now we're not going to show you any mercy.
I don't expect anybody any mercy.
But the thing is, you've allowed us that. You have allowed us to just walk all over you. And, oh God, I was listening to somebody else. I think it might have been on 5AA. They were saying that, might have even been Timmy Jennifer, that said that that sort of performance will lead into next year. So Josh Carr's going to carry that way. I don't think so. I think it'll be a fresh start.
I think it's a fresh start.
But he reckons that mentally that could cook you for next year.
Different team. It'll be a totally different team.
It will.
This team, like I said, if this had been the full strength best 22 we could have put out there and that happened, I'd have great fears. But it's far from anywhere close to the best team.
But you put that your best players in, and I still think we beat you by 10 goals. It's just, there's that much
Liam, in all honesty,
of your team.
You can think anything you want. You're just never going to know.
I know. But I'm just saying the build of your team is just, it's crook. It's crook in the back. It's crook in the front. And what was Lukosius actually injured, or did he just get pulled? Because on the broadcast they said, they weren't sure if it was an injury or he was pulled for bad form. And that was after the sub was made.
After it was activated, yeah.
I mean, the guy was never going to come in and be, the absolute elite key forward. He was going to be a piece. No, he was going to be a piece.
He was going to be that cream on top.
Yeah. But, look, his performance in the Showdown was weak.
Look, he's what? 3 games in? Yeah. Three games back from
But the knock was at Gold Coast, and this is why Hardwick didn't want him there or kept dropping him, was that he's just not hard enough.
Yeah, and you know what? The one thing I guarantee you is going into next year, if you're not hard enough, Josh Carr's not going to play.
No, and that's not a problem because he's a big chunk of your salary cap.
Yeah, but you can move that stuff on. You can.
It's a huge investment, though.
You can.
It's a huge investment. What you've got for him, what you pay.
If he believes that this guy ain't going to work out, he's not going to have no problem pulling the trigger. Josh Carr, and I've ever met the bloke, he's very uncompromising.
But if he's supposedly coaching the team at the moment,
I don't know who's doing what at the moment.
Well, it's rumored that he's coaching.
Well, it was rumored that he did last year as well. So I don't know. But then Ken said, no, that's not true. And Nev asked him Ken this year, and he said, no, that's not true. I
don't believe.
And they said they didn't want him doing anything. They didn't want him anywhere near the team because they didn't want the criticism of the heat to come on him. So no, they've unequivocally said no. So I don't know, but I haven't heard otherwise. To say no, he's actually doing it, and Ken's just
It's just hearsay that that's what's happening, and Ken.
But I did hear that last year.
Yeah,
I actually came to you and I said to you, I'm hearing that Ken's just a figurehead, and Josh is actually the one who's actually running the show.
So that's a bit of a problem if that is the case. Now I know that once that Ken goes, there'll be an emotional lift, I think, from the players. Different voice.
Yeah,
hopefully Carr becomes stronger.
He will. He definitely will. Look, he's uncompromising, Josh Carr. He's not someone who's just going to go meekly. He's not going to be worried about big names leaving. He's not going to be fearful of someone like West Coast of Harley Reid walking out the door. He's not.
No, because he knows. What I don't like about what he's... And again, I'm a Crows supporter, so I don't give a crap if you bottom out and fall off the face of the earth. But what he's doing with your midfield, you've got an elite midfield, and it's underperforming. There's no doubt about it. I understand. Okay, Jason Francis is a big part of that. He was missing on the weekend. Okay, I get that. But there's still some good pieces in there. Of
course there is.
You go, oh, God.
Of course there's Miles Bergman. I know you don't like Willem Drew, but
he's a role player.
His hand on his name on the ball.
And Ollie Wines
was terrible on the weekend.
I thought he had a good game.
I thought he was shocking, mate. His kicking was...
Yeah, his kicking was great, but his clearance work, and in those conditions, I can accept low. Most of the games sat at both sides sitting around about 50% disposal efficiency. Yeah. So you have to live with that in those conditions. So it's just about getting the ball forward.
I'll tell you the first thing I said. The bounce goes down.
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
Yeah,
Bergman kicks the wrong way, and I turned to my partner and I said, "This is not going to be a good result." You just had that feeling from the minute because I looked at him and I went, "What the f is he doing?" And I just knew from then. I just thought, "This is not going to be good at all." And I dreaded sitting there watching that first half. And then you just kept pulling it further and further away. And then by the time we hit that halfway through that third quarter, I was flicking back and forth and really watching. And then just to see the score get run up in the last quarter was just like, you could see it. They'd given up. It was just a team that was just going through the motions, trying to get to the final siren.
See, and this is what you don't get. So when you roll out things like never tear us apart. Now, I know why that...
Never tear us apart. It had nothing to do.
Okay. But it leads everyone to just mock you.
But it has nothing, because you don't have an understanding of what the song means.
Yes, we do.
No, you don't.
Yes, we
Never
do.
Tear Us Apart was about not splitting the Magpies and the Power
Correct.
and splitting them up.
Correct.
It had nothing to do with
No.
the other teams coming onto the Oval and kicking our asses. You just want to make it believe what you want to make it to believe, but you have no idea what Never Tear Us Apart means.
Yes, we do. Yes, we
No,
do.
you
Because we know the
don't.
story. We know the story. But it's
Because if you did, you'd understand that it has to do with the two teams. It has nothing to do with the opponent coming over and kicking your butts.
Here we go. Here we go.
So,
Yeah, look, we understand that, and simple Google AI can tell you that these days. Why did Port Adelaide roll out never? But it's easy to mock you guys when you're down 3-5. Never tear us apart. Ken and CD. I don't know.
Look,
Ken's short of what I call him off camera, but
Ken, I don't know. I just feel like he could have done the club so much a service just by when he lost them, and he knew that he lost them by mid-season, by the break. He then just should have said, "Look, it's over." But they then said, he came out and said, "Why would I do that?" All the heat goes on Josh, and he has a bad second half, and everybody goes, "He shouldn't even be." Well, they've made the wrong decision. So I understand why he sticks around, because the writing was on the wall there.
And it's a list issue. It's a list issue, and I know Ken knows that.
Absolutely.
And he's protecting.
But I was shocked.
his
I
heart.
was shocked when I saw the reserves final score to think that we actually even got that close to you.
Inaccurate
So,
kicking.
Yeah, it was, and it was a terrible night, and part of me was hoping that that's what the AFL game would be a bit like.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You want to move on?
yeah, why not?
Yeah. All right. So, look, someone else that's not going so well, Melbourne. That you should take great joy in the fact that you didn't give up a 46-point lead in the last quarter.
Last quarter, yeah.
Beaten by one bloke.
Well, that one bloke is now, they're talking about possibly being the best player in the league, and
Can you make that assumption off
No,
one
of course
quarter?
not. But you're not making it off of one quarter. You're making it off of a whole season of just improvement, game to game, consistent improvement, where, not drifting in and out of games, consistently being in the game, regardless of how well the team's going. So that's what they're basing it off of.
The one thing AFL media gives me the shits on is how quickly they are to jump on someone.
Of course they are.
Either to kill them or to build them up.
Of course.
And it was a great quarter, best individual quarter from anyone for the season. Hard to argue with that.
Would have won the Showdown medal.
Yeah, but you can't off the assumption of one quarter.
But
And again, Melbourne, what have Melbourne got to play for as well?
Well, that's, in all fairness, you're right, but look at the heat that brings because of a loss.
Yeah.
You say, what have they got to play for? Not to be criticised. And I mean, if word coming out of Melbourne was true and Goody hadn't accomplished the death threat,
He was going to get the sack today.
apparently he was going to get the sack today. Yeah. So that performance like that, like you say, what do they have to play for? That's what they've got to play for, to cover their coach, to cover their asses, to ensure that they're not ridiculed the way they're being ridiculed at the moment. They're talking about Petrarca as if his brand is now permanently damaged because of what's going on this season. May now cops another couple of weeks suspension. He's gone right off the deep end, mate. He can barely stay on the ground, and he can barely stop smacking blokes at the moment. Like this team is just from potential of possibly being a top 4 side to who knows, this team could be broken up next year.
Yeah, they're playing they're playing like they know. That.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're playing like they could be down the bottom for a long time if they keep going the way they're going.
But I thought that they were building something. I mean, they seem to play well against the top teams.
Yeah, a lot of people.
They have these games, and there's something about Melbourne and St Kilda at the moment. Remember Trago Park earlier this year when Melbourne pretty much kicked themselves out of it?
Yeah, I do.
It's an unusual matchup, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But as far as Wangani Miller goes, I mean, they're never talking about $2 million a year.
Yeah.
So, he started off the year as possibly $1 million man, and now they're talking about he might end the year as a $2 million man.
All right. So you guys are probably where he's likely going to go with his connections to Burgoyne and Francis.
Francis, yeah.
Let's play your not Patrick Cripps, Jamie Cripps. Yeah. What are you giving up to get him?
I don't know. What does St
What
Kilda
would you?
need? What does St Kilda need? Tell me what St Kilda needs, and that's
I
what
think
getting
everything, to be honest.
So, do they need a tall forward? Because I think we've got a bloke by the name of Ollie Lord, and maybe even
Marshall.
Yeah. So, if you need a tall forward, you could take your pick of those two. If you're,
See, if Butters made up his mind, this is the year that you could sort of.
Well, look, I think
because Butters' trade value will be at its highest this year with him still having a year left.
Absolutely. And I think if worse came to worse and the deal had to be done to get Butters somewhere and to get NWM to us and to get what St Kilda wanted for him, I think there's a possibility that they would do that deal with Butters. I think they'd prefer to keep Butters, to be honest.
Of course they would.
They've offered Butters a lifetime deal, basically. On the table for him is a 10-year deal that's around about the 1.3 to 1.5.
Yeah.
Incremental going up with the increase in salary. So look, he's got that lifetime deal on the table. If they can achieve something, he's got 2 years, Butters. If they can achieve something next year and he can possibly see a future, and there's a possibility that we might be in contention, I can see him hanging around. But if we're doing what we did this year and we're barely scraping into the 8 or we're 9th or 10th with a bit of improvement, he's gone. He's out the door.
I know what you're doing by trying to lock him away for life, but I think that's also going to scare him away. Because
it's just one of the few deals. Apparently, there's 5 different deals on the table.
All right. Because I was going to say, a lifetime deal, you might want a couple of years just to see where he's heading.
From what I understand, there's 5 different deals on the table for him. There's a 1-year deal. There's a couple of years. There's a 5-year. There's a 7. There's a lifetime. Basically.
Okay. Yeah. So you're just basically throwing everything out.
Throwing everything out and giving him heaps of options, saying, look, this is what we can give you. Do you want to go another year afterwards? So next year he becomes an unrestricted.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he wants to do. He wants to get unrestricted. He wants to see who's going to chuck what.
But I know your club would be right now going, we want a decision now because his trade value is going to be lower next year.
Of course, yeah.
And he could end up having another Brownlow year.
Yeah.
And I still think because he's a restricted free agent. Restricted?
Yeah. No. He's at the moment he's restricted. Yeah. Next year he becomes unrestricted.
Okay. Yeah, that makes his value.
So it's just the whatever the compensation. That's the only thing we'll get.
Yeah, and you'd be wanting to get that answer this year.
Yeah.
And maybe the way the year finishes out, and if it does finish as bleakly as you suggest, then maybe you might go, well, you know what, I'll go home now.
Yeah. And look, there's a lot of talk that Hawthorn are the ones really chasing it.
Yeah.
Hawthorn are the team willing to.
Well, they do need that blue chip midfielder.
That's right. So Hawthorn are the team who are willing to give us the most to get him. And I think Hawthorn's in one of those teams that's in that position where he can see them contending for the next 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So he might be looking at them and thinking, okay, that's a good option. But he might also be sitting back thinking, well, is there someone more like a Collingwood or is there, a Gold Coast who might be coming on then? Is there, another team that I might be throwing all my chips into the Hawthorn basket and they're not the team that's going to be coming through in the next 5 years?
Well, there's a team coming through at the moment, right across town.
Melbourne, across Melbourne.
No, right, yeah.
Is that St Kilda?
Top of the ladder on the weekend. We were for 24 hours.
I can't believe you. Oh my God, they're top of the ladder. There's a food. Oh. Dude, relax. Wait until the round's over and then talk about where you are.
Oh, the round is over. I'm talking about it now.
I couldn't believe the commentator, they're on top. For what? Because Collingwood haven't played. They're on top. And Collingwood had Richmond, so settle down, people. Just finish the round up and see where you finish.
Yeah, look, I'm getting excited about ladders anyway.
Look, your top two, you know what? Top 2 is all you want. You don't. It'd be great to finish top because you get the whatever it's called, the McLennan Trophy. But you don't even get that. You don't even get that unless your women's team performs. So you could be the best performing male team. Like look at Brisbane last year, best performing male team and best performing one of the feet. Didn't they make the grand final? The girls,
they did,
and yet they stood in. So the boys winner, the girls loser, and they stood up get the McLennan Trophy. 2 teams made the grand final and they didn't even win the trophy. Hawthorn won.
it's an embarrassment.
It's an absolute embarrassment. I just no other calculator. It's just stupid calculation.
None of the sporting comps in the world combine the men's and women's and say, here's a trophy for.
It's a participation thing, mate. Now
it's because I want to really put some merit into the women's game. So by doing that, we put $1 million on the line.
But you're not
getting a trophy.
Every game is worth a point. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
they've doubled up. They said, well, the women's season is shorter, therefore we'll double that, and everybody gets 2 points because it's a shorter season. And because the Hawthorn girls won more games than the Hawthorn boys, then the Brisbane, then they end up doubling up the points and they end up getting the trophy from a team that finished the boys finished in the semi-finals, lost to us.
Mm-hmm.
And the girls won it, didn't they? I can't remember who.
North Melbourne
won it.
Yeah. But I think, their ladies team had they overachieved last year. But anyway. So, Butters staying or going this year?
He's staying. If it's his choice, he's staying.
Okay.
If it's our choice and we need him to get the Wanganeen Miller a deal over.
All right. So, what? Let's get back to what would you give, and who are you giving up?
Look, we haven't got any picks, so it's going to have to be future.
Yep.
Unless we can package a few players that I think maybe St Kilda might be interested in, whether that's, who knows.
So you're offering up Marshall, you're offering up...
Well, they Lord, Marshall, they're probably more likely to take a Lord. They might be interested in maybe Willie Rioli. I don't know.
Yep.
I could see St Kilda and their need is everywhere. It's not just in one.
The only thing I can see them knocking back Lord is King.
Of course, of course.
But I mean, King's out.
Yeah,
injured.
King
seems to be out injured quite a bit. So
yeah, and look, at the end of it all, maybe he becomes the backup like he was on the weekend. You back up Ruckman and plays forward, and that way you don't have to risk King in the ruck.
So it sounds like you're giving a couple of players 2 first rounds, and so let me ask you: is it worth it?
I think if his trajectory keeps going the way it is, absolutely. But I always judge every deal that we do on what you need to give to get the player. Like if you ask me if the Joey Richards deal was paid off, I'll tell you no.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are a lot of commentators out there who reckon he's fabulous, he's great, he works his ass. He does work his ass off.
Yeah,
his polish that's where he lacks.
But again, that could change. That could
polish. Yeah,
he could become that sort of player. Yeah. Neil Bullen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
he just lacks that last kick polish, and if he can get that right, then that becomes a great deal. But if he keeps going on the trajectory he is, it's a terrible deal.
Yeah.
So
and what does it do to the rest of your team dynamic? So, we talk about your depth. There isn't a great deal. Tasmania's coming, going to water down future drafts.
Yeah.
Where does it leave you for looking 5 to 10 years down the track? Is this going to place you in a position where you're 14 through to 8 for the next 10 years?
Well, I think they're hoping that with that addition of Wanganeen Miller, it takes them to that next step. That's the hope. But you're also hoping that everybody's fit and ready and that nobody goes down. Now, we're not going to see Powell-Pepper until late next year, if at all. So there's a possibility you might not even see him at all next year. Yeah. Now, he's the heart and soul of that team, in all honesty. When we've come out and we needed someone to go out there and just be that enforcer type, he's been the man.
Yeah.
Now, we lacked that against Hawthorn, especially in that last quarter where they just run a muck over the top of us. And you could just see that there was no heart, there was no nothing in the showdown. He's that guy that brings that genuine effort and heart at the ball and no compromise at all.
Yeah.
So that's what we lack.
Leader.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's those guys. But we're not going to see him until, if at all, next year. Because, he's a 12-month, and he did his injury, 6 weeks ago. If all goes to plan, you might see him the last, 4 weeks of the year. But if it doesn't, he's 26 is gone.
Yeah.
So you can't even rely on him to come back. Marshall, again, I say to you, week in, week out. One head knock away from them dragging him in and saying, sorry, son, your career's over.
Your key position players, your stock of key position players. Watch the Sanford game. It's not a lot there. What's going on? Because that's the only way you're going to push yourselves back up.
There's not. No, you're right. The depth is lacking because traditionally we're dealing the depth to get players in.
Yeah.
We're dealing picks to get players in, and we've got nothing coming through the bottom. It's just spot on.
But
So because we haven't bottomed down, because we
hasn't come on the way.
He hasn't. Yes,
and I know.
But
Look,
that's part of that is also injury.
yeah,
Some of that has been injury.
and sometimes young key position players can go backwards a year, but he seems to be going backwards all the time.
Yeah. Well, that's the fear with someone like him, is that you're dealing to someone else and all of a sudden he just goes bang, takes off. Like, I would have said the same thing about Georgiadis. I would have said, what are we doing with this bloke? West Coast want him. Let's deal him. Let's get him out of here. We can get something for him. All right. Because he's never going to show what we thought he'd be. And then all of a sudden this year he's just gone, bang.
Yeah.
So he's come from nowhere, and then we're just thinking, thank God we didn't deal him to West Coast.
Yeah.
Because we've been without him.
Too right.
That's right. So sometimes you just don't know that they're 12 months away. They're 6 months away. They're 3 months away from actually taking that next step and taking the game on. And you think, wow, lucky we kept him.
Well, so I'm going to call it. I don't think it's worth it for you guys.
Yeah.
And you're going to go with, yeah, it's worth it?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is. But if you're selling the farm to get him, then no. Not at all.
All right. Change of pace to the Battle of the Bridge. Another rivalry game. The whole Papley Stringer Green incident. What'd you make of that?
Well, you got to love Papley. He brings everything to the game that you want, doesn't he? He's that little angry man who stirs the pot, and he's not afraid to pinch his tummy and go, hey, you're looking a bit fat there, Stringer. And then, but with that comes consequences. So, and the consequence was you awoke the grizzly bear who came out and kicked your butts in the second half.
I mean, when Green said that, though, I mean, he had no idea that the game was going to change.
Of course not. I guarantee you they were angry by it.
Oh, no.
They were going in at halftime thinking, this is not on, we're not having this.
Well, the fact that he spoke about it and so openly, he was angered, definitely angered by it. And
absolutely. And that's the last thing. You don't want to give your opponent any edge. And that's the one thing Papley gave them, was an edge. They had him, Sydney had him where they wanted him. All he had to do was just go back onto the field, not roll up anybody. And even Stringer exploded. So even he kicked a couple of nice ones and took the game on.
Did you watch that game at all? Bits.
Yeah.
That third quarter was insane.
Yeah.
Once GWS got on a roll, it's like 4 or 5 goals within a couple of minutes. It was incredible to see.
Yeah. So, it is what it is, and he won't change his game, and no one, and I guarantee you, Cox is not going to him and say, mate, pull your head in.
Yeah.
Not at all.
But how good is it, though, that these things happen? Because within rivalries, it's great.
That takes me back to the old, early days of the Showdown with Chad Corns, getting stuck into you blokes, getting stuck into your crowd, that sort of thing. That took me back to those days where, you just stood up and you had to back up what you did. And Papley couldn't back up. His team couldn't back up what he did in that first quarter that taunt towards Stringer. And then when he kicks that goal and he goes after Green, you don't want to be doing stuff like that. Because Toby he's the one bloke you don't want to fire up, because he's the one bloke who will
change the game.
Yeah,
and do it quickly.
Absolutely.
Just one of those streaky players.
Yep.
All right, so we'll leave the footy there for this week. You sort of touched on it a little bit before. One of your childhood heroes.
Yeah.
The Hulkster passed away this week.
Yeah, transcended not just wrestling, mate. He changed the business. He changed pop culture. He was one of my childhood heroes. So, him and Andre. You've heard my story about Andre Majai. I met him when I was about 10 at Featherton Theatre. Me and my dad were walking at Featherton Theatre to watch the wrestling. And Andre was on the card. And back then he used to wrestle midgets. They'd have 6, 7, 8, 10 midgets up against him, and he'd just push him around. It was all fun and that. And we were walking, we parked in the back streets at Thebbit, and we were walking to Thebby Theatre. And of course, where Andre goes in is at the back, and we were coming through the front, and we're sort of walking towards each other. And of course, I've got my head down, and I hit the brick wall, just stopped me, and I look up, and there's this 7'5" bloke standing in front of me. He rubs my head and he says, "You all right?" I go, "Yeah." And I'm sort of looking up thinking, this is Andre the Giant. I've just run into Andre the Giant.
Did you have a beer in his hand?
He was surrounded by all these, all the guys he was wrestling. What do we call them these days? I don't want to call them midgets because I don't think that's
just Connor Johnson's for now.
Yeah, so my apologies for using that word if it offends anybody. But yeah, that's what it was back in the day, and the little people. But yeah, that was, and then of course rolling into the 80s was the Hogan era, wasn't it? And,
it was,
Yep.
So you have a top 5 for Mr. Hogan?
Mr. Hogan,
his greatest moments.
5, his greatest moments that at the way I lived and breathed them.
Yeah.
So at number 5, I have WrestleMania 11 or 6, sorry, WrestleMania 6, where he took on the Ultimate Warrior for the titles. It was title against titles of 2009 and 90. Intercontinental versus the Heavyweight Championship, and that was the first time he'd been beaten clean ever. No one had ever pinned Hogan clean without outside interference. So that was, to me, one of the most jaw-dropping, inspirational things. And the Ultimate Warrior was coming on then, and he was taking over from Hogan.
That was before That Doesn't Work For Me, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was, to me, one of the most iconic matches of that era. And then, of course, we rolled forward to WrestleMania 18, Icon versus Icon, where he took on The Rock. And just huge, absolute huge it was. And just the roar from the crowd, just the response that both of them got. And, Hogan dropped the leg drop, and he'd come back from WCW, back then after the NWO days. After leaving probably WWE, as everybody being sick of him.
So in mind, Hogan and ECW.
Yeah, true. But the pop he got that day when he dropped the leg was huge.
Just the crowd reaction even before they got started when they were in the ring face to face. If you haven't seen it,
it's absolutely amazing. And at number 3, I have the birth of Hulkamania. That's in Madison Square Garden in 1984, where he beats the Iron Sheik for the world title. Relatively unknown in the WWF back then. Had just come in. Obviously was well known in other companies, but had been brought in by Vince. And basically the Iron Sheik was the ultimate heel because of everything that was going on in the Middle East with Iran and Iraq and that. And he came in with his true American iconic yellow and red, and won the title.
Strapped the rocket to it.
Took off. And number 2, the most absolute best heel turn ever, when he in 1996 becomes the 3rd member of the NWA and probably changed the business for the 2nd time. Took WCW to heights they'd never seen in their lives, and started the Monday Night the Wars. Almost sent WWE to bankruptcy. They were doing so well, WCW. It's just too bad too many people got greedy, because there was some great watching between Nitro and Raw back then. And of course, number 1, the body slam heard around the world. WrestleMania 3, 1987, where the irresistible force meets the immovable object.
And you know all about that. You bumped into him.
And he picks up Andre the Giant and slams him. And I've never been so conflicted in my life seeing the man that, as my young childhood hero, Andre the Giant, losing to the man who I thought was possibly the best in that era and changed the business so much that he was so far and above everybody else.
So
that's
one. Watching that, and what was your reaction?
My reaction was,
did Tom Cruise jump on the couch?
No, it wasn't quite that, but it was very much, you can't believe it. Because that was the, back then, you were probably a bit too young back then. Andre and Big John Studdard had a whole range of matches where it was to win, you had to slam the other one.
Yeah.
And like Big John Studd could never do it, could never pick Andre up, could never slam him. And Andre would always win these first slam matches. So, and I guess everybody believed that Hogan would be the man to do it. But to actually see it and to watch it was just something to just absolutely.
Look, the only thing I've got really comparable to something that's shocking would be, the Hogan heel turn, but also outside of Hogan, like the Undertaker losing at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
that's
the Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, shocking. Just to compare, shocking.
Yeah,
because I don't think I was alive when that happened. Could be wrong. What year was that?
87.
And I was one. So no recollection watching live. So,
but it is the one they show all the time.
It is.
It is one of the most iconic wrestling slams that I've seen it so many times. You just think, wow, it takes you back. So, I was lucky enough to be there for WrestleMania 1. Back then, it was on free to air. You could watch it on Channel 10. The whole show was just sitting there free to air. None of this pay-per-view stuff. So,
awesome. Rest in peace, Hulkster.
Yep.
So from one hill to the next, England.
Oh my God.
The England cricket team.
What a pack of sooks.
Oh goodness, are they ever? They call themselves the moral compass, saving Test cricket, saving cricket, and here they are wanting to end the game early, to stop the Indians from getting both Indian batsmen to getting hundreds.
Yeah.
Both of them, what were they on? 85 and 80? So within touching distance.
Yeah.
3 clean shots and they're there.
Yeah.
Well, one of them is. 4 for the other.
Well, look, close enough that I certainly, if I was sitting there on 80 or 85, I'd be going, I want to go on.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was Sundar's first crack at 100. So there's no way he's going off, is he?
No.
He's done all the hard yards, and when the game was on the line and England still had a chance at having India 4 down, let him cash it. I mean, goodness gracious.
I mean, they wasted a lot of overs with the part-timers.
Well, they did. And then when it was meandering to a draw and they tried to get the game called off, that's when England threw the baby out of the bathwater and just said, no, stop this. We're not using our front liners. And look, I get that. They don't want to risk injury. So, but, again, they could talk about spirit of the game, the Bairstow thing, and then they roll this nonsense out like they're great custodians of spirit of cricket. Rubbish. Yeah. But, England, India, 2 biggest sookie nations in the world.
Of course they are.
God, there's been that much crying in this 5-match test series that...
there's still one to go, isn't there?
Yeah, we've seen enough.
Yeah.
But, look, that England probably roll out another pitch like that, 600 pitch.
Yeah.
Draw the test match, win the series 2-1, and then come across to Australia thinking that they've achieved something great.
Yeah. What we is, yeah.
Because the pitches were a bit green to begin with. Now they're looking a bit dead, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you see the Happy Gilmore movie this week?
I did, yes. I watched it yesterday afternoon I watched it.
What were your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It was good humour. I thought the action was all right. Storyline was sort of a bit, but then I guess you're looking for something that sort of, like normal golf against live, I guess. That was the angle they were going at. And they had some good cameos from real golfers and, it was...
I was going to say that.
in there.
Yeah, tying in the golfers, bringing in the frontline golfers like Scotty Scheffler and Bryce.
Rory, Bryce Shambo,
but also, tying back to the previous one, what I didn't like was there was some sad moments in it.
Yeah,
true. So, the first one, there was his dad dying in the first one, but it wasn't really, really sad. There wasn't a sad note to it.
Yeah.
I don't know, just set the tone. And I was underwhelmed. I was expecting a little bit more. Again, I did expect that it wasn't going to be as good as the original, but I don't know. Maybe me, I just felt like it should have been more.
Yeah, no, of course, and it's one of those storylines where you could have gone in so many different directions.
Well, apparently they reread it, and characters dying, and then rewrote it again.
Yeah.
So
look, I mean, that's just to sit down, turn your brain off, watch a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like the Eminem cameo.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
All right, so we're getting close to time here, so let's do the final shot. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Yeah, well, my final shot's going to be after that debacle in Queensland that Brisbane will defeat Collingwood and hand you the top spot.
Oh, we still have to get the job done. You're jinxing us there.
Hand you top spot. No, you've already got top spot.
Well, we did for about 24 hours, and then it's gone again. But we still have to get our job done. So I've gone the Bulldogs to get their first second. Is it their second top 8 win this season?
Yeah,
they'll beat GWS. Toby Green out. Look, if Bulldogs don't win this season's over. They can't. This is it for them. They've got to win every single game.
Yeah.
So I'm going for the desperation factor that, look, there's more, again,
to play for.
People don't like this saying, but there is in this case more to play for the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
GWS could potentially still get a top 4 spot. So yeah, look, they're still playing for top 4. So I don't want to undersell that.
Yeah.
But Bulldogs are playing for their lives here. And given the new model, 5 before the finals, if you finish 5 to 8, you're still a chance. And they've done it before.
Yeah.
But I mean, whether or not they will get that far this year, another question.
No, I think because I looked at that game, and the only reason I didn't pick GWS to beat the Bulldogs was Toby's out.
Yeah.
And I think he's a big influence on that team. Toby.
Yeah, you talked about down before.
Yeah. When they're down, he's the man who steps up. So I tend to agree with you there. So yeah. But yeah, you're right. If they don't win the Bulldogs, it's over. Say goodbye.
What you got for us this week?
Well, here you go. What do you call a man with no shins?
What's that?
Tony. Good night. Thank you, Paul Torber.